What's up, and welcome to Cameron+Deanna. My name is Cameron. We are hanging out, talking about some more Disney Lorcana, Fabled, and new decks and all that kind of stuff. Very excited to kind of dig into some of the ideas that I've been having, but then to also get to kind of take a look around the internet at some other various decks and kind of talk through what the vibes are potentially going to be after this weekend when we get Fabled release in like local game stores. And so I'm really excited to kind of see what that's going to be, how things are going to get shaken up. People that have hung out during our Lorcana streams before know that Fabled is, of course, set 9, and then is also the first time in Disney Lorcana that we are going to have a rotation. Meaning sets 1 through 4 are no longer playable in core constructed format, and unless those cards are reprinted in Fabled or a future set. And so I am very excited to see what this means as a shakeup, because generally speaking, once like a format gets going for a while, in order for like a deck to have like a huge emergence on the scene, there has to be something really powerful. Or someone has to like find a deck that hasn't existed previously, which like all in all is relatively rare. Like decks can like go from being tier 2 to tier 1 or something like that. But generally speaking, as like the format has developed, it's really like, oh cool, where do these new cards plug into the existing deck? Or decks is kind of the biggest thing. And so Fabled is the first time that we haven't had that, and we've had some sort of like major shakeup. And so this is also, as I've referenced before, going to be the format of DLC Milwaukee that I'm hopefully playing in. And so very excited to kind of be thinking about this also from that mindset, just so that we can like be kind of thinking critically, building critically, all of that kind of stuff. And so so we're going to jump in. I have a handful of decks that we're going to start with, which are ones that like I have been brewing up. And we'll kind of talk a little bit about those. And then we can also kind of just hang out and have some good vibes and all of that kind of stuff. And we can just kind of see where the day takes us. My plan is for us to be in Dreamborn for most of the day. And then we will also kind of just pop over to the deck builder or community decks and stuff like that and take a look through what all is there. But all of that said, I guess let's go ahead and jump over to the deck builder. There we go. Hit the wrong thing. And so, okay, so people that have been following along know that I have been playing Blurple. And so Blurple is a tempo mid-range deck that exists in the game. And so this is going to be kind of my at least starting point take on it for the future set. And so one of the big things that we're losing between set 8 and Fabled is that we're losing Possicle, and then we're losing our 3-drop Bell, and then we're also losing Friends on the other side. So definitely some big stuff there. And then as many people have been thinking, there's most likely going to be a large increase in the number of aggressive decks in the format. And so we're going to need to figure out what that looks like. And so, so like at its core, this deck is built around Tipo. Actually, I switched to this view, and I actually don't want us to do this when we're talking through the overview. Is built around Tipo and then Sail the Azurite Sea as a way to get ahead on ink and ideally stay ahead on ink. There's an argument to playing some additional like higher up ramp cards. We'll talk about those a little bit later. But kind of as a way of facilitating going against the aggressive decks. Royal Guard is here as a way when you draw a card, this card gains Challenger 1. So it will always have Challenger 1 on your turn because you have always drawn a card. But then if you play a card like Hypnotic Strength that gives Challenger 2, but also draws another card, it can definitely punch above its weight. Also worth noting that like you can play Guard on turn 2, then it has Challenger 1, then you can Sail the Azurite Sea. Now it has Challenger 2. And so you can be hitting for 3 on turn 2 a handful of different ways, just kind of depending on what you have. I think there's I think it's a Rafiki. That's in purple. Yeah, so this one's being reprinted. And so when this character, so the important part here is that it's a 1-drop with Challenger 3. And so I think there's a good argument that this Rafiki might need to be played instead of Diablo. Diablo is great because you can get a card back as you're questing, but where this deck might need to be is that it might need to just be like the aggressive, remove their stuff. Ideally, you get to take out 2 of their things with Rafiki, or at least take one out, then they have to challenge into you or something like that. And so there's definitely some like hopes and dreams associated with that, but that is something that we'll sort out as the format gets going. And so, Chunk, how's it going? Appreciate you coming by. Playing some AC. When am I streaming some games again? There just needs to be a game that like grabs me. And like right now there really hasn't been. I have been playing some, I played Sword of the Sea earlier over the weekend, and I enjoyed that one. Very cool, like indie kind of artsy. There's a chance I might do like platinum cleanup stuff on stream. We're kind of just have to see how that game goes. And then I had been considering streaming some The Rogue Prince of Persia, but then I ran into an error while I was playing, and it deleted my whole save. And so I lost like 3 hours of progress. And so I was really enjoying that game, and now I don't know if I'm enjoying it enough to go back and replay. And so, but then also, I mean, like this channel, even First Geek, have kind of always been in the like, hey, as hosts, like where are we at? And right now I am in the Lorcana world. And so that's why we're talking about all of that here. So, but okay, yeah, now that we've kind of talked the overview of the deck, let's take a look at some of the other stuff that we have. So I think this Ursula is really interesting. They're a reprint, and so they are uninkable. We have 14 right now. Like that's probably high end, but we'll have to wait and see how that shapes up in actual gameplay. Of course, Tipo can ink Ursula. But when this character quests, chosen opposing character can't ready to the start of the next turn. So like theoretically, this like permanently locks down an opposing character if they can't answer Ursula. Because like you quest with this, exert their character, they don't, and then their exerted character can't ready, and then they can't do anything with it. Then on your turn, you do this again, and you just keep like locking down a character. One of the big themes that we're going to see as we talk through decks is the Daisy problem, as just like a 1/4 for 1 that quests for 2. And like we just need ways of answering Daisy. And so like Ursula is also like a 3/3. So like you can just like challenge into stuff. But yeah, the ability of like, well, if you need to lock down Daisy, here is an option. We'll see how many, if any of these actually end up in the deck itself. But that's what it's here for. We got the new Dumbo. We talked about this in our set review. So evasive 3/3 for 4. Then you can pay 1, exert it, draw a card, and gain a lore. And then it also gives that ability to your other evasives. So in current state, the only evasives we're playing is this Dumbo, Genie, Iago, and Elsa. We'll see what that looks like in the future. Like I could see us trying to like work in some other evasives. Heather's getting downloaded, but right now you're back into Shadows. Nice. Gears of War is about to come out. I'm super excited that Gears is coming to PlayStation. Like I don't think I will be playing it, but I like that it is there. What other? Oh, let's set our core constructed filter. So like, there's no 1-drops that have evasive. Ooh, did not realize that. So that's definitely something that, I mean, I guess makes sense. I could see an argument for playing Blue Fairy. I know I've seen some lists that have that card in it. Let's see. Like, I don't think you would be playing Cruella, but like there's a vibe there. And then once we get into these higher ones, like I am not as huge. I could see an argument for like bringing in Peter Pan's Shadow, just as like, if we are, this gives Rush characters evasive, yeah. And so I could see an argument there that gives Monstro evasive, and so that could be something that we want to play some number of, but it's a 4-drop uninkable, so like that isn't great. But I could also see Pinocchio making their way in just as another option. I don't think we would use Pinocchio's ability with Dumbo too often, but it is definitely there as a possibility. So Genie, mainstay powerhouse of this deck, evasive 2/4, quest for 2. When it enters, you draw a card. Like, fantastic card in the last format, probably going to be a fantastic card in this format, especially with less removal. And so I am pretty excited to play a whole bunch of Genies in the new format. Iago, again, less removal, so hopefully we'll be able to like stick on the board more. Iago always struggled that like the matchups that you need a 4/6 was against like Steel Song, and Steel Song had all of the damaging songs that could just take out Iago, and so because they would just vanish him. And so that is what it is. Now that there's less of that, I could see playing, I'm up to 3 just currently for the list. I could see that changing. But I do like the idea of Iago a bit more now. Although without Peter Pan Shadowfinder, and not being able to give Iago Rush, like, I don't necessarily know like the hope for this card. But maybe there just won't be enough removal that you'll be able to get around it. No, you're good. You're good, Chunk. Excited to check out Sword of the Sea and Opens of Persia. Downloaded. Nice. Yeah, completely understand. Yeah, and then the struggle that I'm having right now also with video games is like the game that I'm like into is Cyberpunk 2077, which I do not think I will be playing on stream. And so and then yeah, there just like hasn't been anything else that has like super grabbed me that I've wanted to play that would make sense for a once a week stream. Like that was my issue with Another Crab's Treasure, is I just like wasn't like staying fresh, and I felt like I was using the first hour of stream to like figure out the controls again. And so, but we'll see. Like I'm hopeful that something will come out soon. I mean, I can find a game that like isn't Magic, but is a game that I can jump into and chat about on like that weekly basis. But we'll see. We'll also see what like the stream schedule is going to look like overall for the next couple months. So it might be crazy on my end with other fun life stuff. So we'll see. We'll let the vibes take us. Then we have our 5-drop Bell. Like when we play it, we can move damage. We don't have the shift for this anymore, so it's going to be very hard to like this is now actually a 5-drop. And then like I don't think there is a I don't think like there's any bells in this colors that like, yeah, like the other bells are 3. We would want like a 2-drop bell, so we just like really don't have a great option there for the shift. Hopefully we'll either get a 1-drop item that we want to play so that we can put this bell back in, or we'll get like a decent 2-drop bell that like again does something that the deck wants. And so Elsa, another big powerhouse. Like the ability to snipe Piglet in the last format was super strong. Piglet is rotated, so that won't necessarily be the thing anymore, but the ability to like use Elsa to like double into certain characters, and then Elsa's like 5 willpower just made it very easy for her to survive. And then Elsa was also powerful because you could partner it with Belle. Like Elsa can take 3 damage without dying, and then you can move that 3 damage versus something like, I mean, you can even use like Dumbo or Ursula here as our examples of like, these have 3 willpower, so if they get to 3, they're gone. Obviously Genie can survive too, and as can Iago, but Elsa being like an aggressive card that takes damage, and then you can use Belle to move that. It was pretty strong. People will recall that I played this Anna in one of the set champs and did not like it. We're going to give her another try in this format. The main reason is that because of the cards that we're losing a lot of card draw, and this card does consistently draw cards. And then also with the removal of Be Prepared from the format, There's going to be a lot fewer situations that are just like, hey, I'm going to play this Elsa or this Anna, and she just immediately gets wrecked because the next turn is be prepared turn. And so like, of course, ideally you're not playing her in that situation, but like the fact that like that she dodges under the sea unless they have a way of reducing her strength. And then the fact that, hopefully she like is able to stick more without like the bigger let's get down to businesses that could hit 6+ damage. And so I'm hopeful for that Anna. Hades, I'm finally gonna buy them. I'm waiting for Fabled to actually come out because I'm hoping that will drop the price some, but finally gonna be picking up Hades. And then Elsa, Spirit of Winter. In my current list I've been playing 2. I think we're gonna go up to 3, and then rounding out our creature package, our character package, we have Monstro, the machine gun that just takes out a whole bunch of stuff. Monstro is a card that I am scared of because we are losing card advantage stuff, but hopefully like we can like Monstro in and like take out a bunch of stuff and not just like completely wreck our hand thanks to having like Dumbo or Genie. And like we're going to have 1-drops that aren't going to be as good later in the game now. And so, whereas like we basically always wanted to play Paw. And so hopefully Monstro will be good there. And then our action package, Hypnotic Strength. I mentioned earlier, this is there as a solution to the Daisy problem. It replaces itself with a card draw. And then you can also use it on your opponent's Iagos. And so Blurple is looking like it will be a very powerful color combination going into set 9. And so having ways of answering people that are playing more Iagos seems like a good idea. And so you can get your card 1-for-1 your opponent. And then like this card replaces itself. So like you're not like down cards to try to get their 4/6 out of the way. Then we got Sail as our ramp card, going up to 4 Finders Keepers. I was playing 3 at the end of the format, but going up there. And then at least for the short term, playing 3 Into the Unknowns as a way of getting rid of our opponent's exerted characters. Obviously also works great with Elsa because you can Elsa exert their character, sing that song with a different with a Dumbo or with an Ursula or something and get it off the board. And so we'll see how that works. Like some things that we're like missing right now is like we probably want something else in the 3-drop slot for whenever we miss like our turn 2 ramp. But other than that, like we got some solid 4s, some solid 5s and above. And so we'll just kind of see what this deck shakes out as in the new format. Again, this is, I think, going to be my starting point. And then we'll just kind of adapt from there and see what other people bring in and how the meta shifts around it. So this is our like most likely gonna play Blurple. But that brings us to our not likely to play Blurple. And so this is what I'm calling Anna Elsa Blurple. And so the idea here is, again, how do you solve the aggro problem? You play more aggressive. And so we're not playing Diablos anymore, but instead we're playing this 2 and 3 on a Elsa package. This probably wants Ursula. I didn't put her in here when I was like brewing this, but like play testing would figure that out for us. But the idea is that like instead of playing Tipo, that just is like a mid 2-drop card after you get the ramp, you're now playing this Elsa that when you have an Anna in play, quests for 2, is also a 2/3, and so it challenges into Daisy in combination with Royal Guard, and then we're still playing Hypnotic Strength. And so there's that of it also, and then you have this, instead of ramping on 2 to get to 4, you're ramping on 3 to get to 5 with this list. And so that gives you some other options. And then of course this Anna also quests for 2. And so like this is like a much more aggressively slanted version, potential that we want Diablos back in. And like this is just like a more aggressive take. And then there's also the 2-drop Anna that like if you have another hero in play, we'll look at that card later, but like if you have another hero in play at quests for 2, it's possible that that's another card that like this deck, this style of Blurple would want. I'm excited to play test this and see how it looks. We have a Dumbo, Genie, Iago, our Elsa. And then here we're up to more of these Annas. The reason being that, like, with this version of the list, we can actually, like, reasonably shift this on 4. Whereas in, like, the normal Blurple list, there's no Annas. And so, like, you really are, like, playing this for 6, and it always felt slow. So we'll see there. I'm interested in that one. Also put in 2 of this Elsa. So when this character quests, you can exert a chosen character. If you do and you have an Elsa, that the chosen character can't ready at the start of the next turn. So again, this is very Ursula adjacent, except you can shift this on 4 and then you can exert their character and lock it down if you have an Elsa. So you always exert and you lock it if you have an Anna. So I think that that's pretty cool. I like this card. This is one that was just like a little off in the last format of, like, you just weren't playing any of the lower Elsas. And so, like, shifting this for 4 onto your 5-drop Elsa just, like, didn't feel great. And so I'm curious if this would become a thing. And this is another reason that we potentially want to play another 1-drop, is because this would give us, with our 4s, it does give us the ability to play a 4 and play a 1-drop. So, like, maybe that's where it wants to be. Eventually, of course, we have the ability to, like, Dumbo with ink a bit left over, or, like, give evasive to something. But then we have the Hades, Elsa, and Monstro package. Same as the last set. These are just ways of cleaning up the board. And then here, I only put in 2 Hypnotic Strength. I'm not really sure why I did that. This probably wants to be 4, but, like, I think my thinking was if you're playing the other characters, we're more aggressive. But I could see this wanting either Diablo or Rafiki, and just having that additional 1-drop just as a way of taking things out. So again, I don't necessarily know if this is going to be the version that gets played, but I think it's pretty cool and, like, it seems fun. This also does something that, like, I like in Lorcana, which is, like, actually having, like, thematic decks. I think one of the problems, like, air quotes problems with Lorcana, is that a lot of decks just kind of feel like play the best cards, and there's not necessarily a lot of synergy between cards. It's like, oh, well, you play this card because it works with this other one, but, like, there's nothing, like, calling you to that. Whereas if this, like, having a thematic thing actually works out and you kind of have this on an Elsa core, I think it would be pretty cool if this becomes, like, playable or, like, another take on that version of the list. And so speaking of thematic, in our Fabled review, we talked about Amber Sapphire Princesses, and so this is a take on that deck. It is presently 68 cards, so something's got to give. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But, like, you have the new Aurora, and then you have the Queen that we talked about in our set reviews of, like, Aurora powering you up into a, like, play it on 1, and then it powers you up into a 2 or 3 drop princess or queen on turn 2. It's really cool. Sorry, a 3 or 1 drop for free. There we go. Princess or queen is solid. My version of the list is playing Ludwig. We'll talk about that, and we'll kind of talk about the synergy problem. We then have Vanellope, who's really only here because we're playing a shift later, and we just need a shift target. And so then we have Jasmine. Oh, and I should say this list was sent over by a friend, and then I kind of tweaked it. So, like, one of my teammates is, like, brewing this, and so we kind of talked through ideas. Here I put in 4 Ludwigs. I think Ludwig is going to be really good in the new format, but I could see 4 being wrong. Just, like, the ability to take a non-character card, I feel like is going to hit so many decks. So I'm very hopeful that that'll be something that will, like, be very useful. Then obviously the fact that, like, once Ludwig has died, it also ramps you. So that's pretty cool as well. Then we have the Prince, who is just a 2-drop bodyguard here to protect our princesses. We have this Anna. This is the one I was referencing earlier, that if you have another hero in play, this character quests for 2. And so almost all princesses are heroes. And then like obviously even here, like the prince is a hero. So like having this quest for 2 is going to be pretty trivial. And then like here we look at like our other one, like hero, like Dumbo is a hero. Belle's a hero. This Elsa is a hero. This Anna is a hero. So like there's a lot of heroes just because, again, the main characters tend to be heroes, and so they tend to be a big part. And so I'm hopeful that that'll be a good card, and again, something that we're considering for the other side of things. And then in our 3-drop slots, we have Mulan, Free Spirit. This is a support that quests for 2, so ideally you play this on turn 2. And then if you do need to challenge into something, you can use the support to power up a lower drop character. Specifically good with the prince. Like the ability to make it so the prince can like actually attack into stuff and then is exerted so that like the bodyguard matters. Like that feels pretty good. Also gives you a little bit more value with your Ludwigs because you can then support onto Ludwig. He's a 3/1 and then can like hopefully trade something, and then you can have him become ink instead of just having to like throw him away. The queen here to discard a card and then help you get back a character from your discard. And so discard a princess or queen, I guess technically. And again, has support. So again, kind of has that same value. We can pump up stuff. We have Tiana, restaurant owner. So this is one that like is probably not going to be in my starter version of this deck just because this card is expensive at $20 a piece. But I think is a really good card that if you're competitively playing this deck, should be in it. This is one of the reasons the deck is 68 cards is like these 4 aren't actually going to be played in my version. And then you have this Hans. So whenever you play this character, if you have a princess or queen and play, gain a lore, then quests for 2. So like ideally gets you 3 lore guaranteed. Again, I'm guaranteed in quotes there, but like I do think that that's something that would be powerful if it works. We have this Vanellope. So this is the shift that we're playing the other one for. I didn't talk about this Tiana does. So this Tiana, if they're exerted, it's 3 less strength whenever they attack, unless they pay 3. So like really good at protecting your characters once your Tiana is exerted. And then Vanellope, when you play another princess, all opposing characters get -1 strength until the start of your next turn. So like if you can play this and then play like 2 princesses on the next turn, you're like shrinking down a substantial portion of their board. And so making it very hard for them to challenge into you. A friend of mine, the one who like I've been working on the deck with, has been playing like a set 8 version of this deck. And since I'm playing Blurple, it's pretty funny to play against this just because there's so much rush in the list currently. And so it's like, oh no, you made my stuff smaller, Fox out of nowhere, and we take out Vanellope. But now that a lot of that rush is going away, I think Vanellope has like a good place, is in a good place. There we go. We have Big Anna. Or this deck's Big Anna, I guess, technically. When this character quests, if your other heroes gain +1 lore this turn, so like that obviously stacks, and so ideal here would be like on turn 5, you quest with Anna and then pump up your other heroes and then you win the game. Assuming that you don't like ramp into her, like on turn 3 with Aurora. And so Kita, this is another one that like I'm not sure if this deck wants, but like Kita is a princess, is a hero, and then like helps you set up your next draw while ramping you. Like I think that this deck needs more card draw to really like take advantage of Kita, but I do think that they're a very powerful card, and so she'll probably at least see some play in the list. And again, cheaper off of Aurora. Beast, we'll talk more about the Beast later on, but kind of just here as a way of pumping up and protecting our princesses come late game. Then we have Shift Aurora from set 1. It gives our other characters ward, so it can protect us in the damage matchups, quests for 2. Then is also just kind of here for the world where we're like, we no longer need this Aurora. We can now turn her into a more powerful character. We have Mulan, who gives us some card draw. And then we can look at the top 4, we can reveal a princess, put them in our hand, and the rest at the bottom. And so this does give us something that we can be doing as a quest as a way of getting more cards. If we really wanted to, we can always quest with Kita, or not quest, we can activate Kita's ability, set up the top of our deck to guarantee that we hit, or make it more likely that we're going to hit a princess with Mulan, but those are possibilities. Then here we have Maid Marian. When you play this character, chosen opposing character gets -5 strength till the start of your next turn. So should effectively neutralize one of those characters. And then our only non-character card in this list is Queen's Censor. At the start of your turn, if you have a queen or a princess or queen character in play, gain a lore. So just passive lore gain as long as we have our basically any of the cards in our deck in play. And then we can reveal the top card of our deck. If it's a princess or queen, you can put it in our hand. Otherwise, put it on the top of the deck. So it does like stay there, which could be good, could be bad, just depending on what the card is. But it does give us some value. And then while it does cost lore to activate that ability, if we do end up playing Kita, like Kita both gets us the lore to pay for that ability and lets us put the card on top so that we can make sure when we activate Queen's Censor, it actually works. So, now, talking through all of that, I think this deck is going to hit one of the problems in Lorcana, which is synergy is often just not good enough. So, like, I think there's a very strong chance this deck just wants to play Daisy Duck. Like, oops, not that. There we go. Do this one. She is not a princess. She is not a hero, but like, there's a pretty good chance that this deck would win more IMO if this beast was just 4 Daisy Ducks and this Maid Marian was like cut from the deck and like one of them was a Daisy Duck. Like, I do really think that there's a good chance that that is the case and that it would be worth it to give up some amount of tempo just to actually have like one of the best aggressive cards in the deck. That's something that like play testing would figure out and would actually like be like, oh, is this actually just better? Honestly, I'm kind of down on the beast in this list. And I think that there's a really solid chance that beast just shouldn't be here. Just because by turn 5, you don't really want to be like, if you have enough princesses for the willpower to matter, you'll probably have won the game. And then if you need to be attacking with princesses, you've probably lost the game. But Beast is a new card. I'm a big believer in like testing out the new cards before you pass judgment. And so obviously with the format being shaken up so much, like maybe you just need this as your fail-safe. So some cool stuff. I'm very interested in this deck. So this is going to be Deanna's deck, at least for like short term. We'll see if she likes it. We'll see if she stays there. And then like if this deck ends up being really good, I might also switch over to it. And we'll just kind of see. I might at least go this direction as a possibility for Milwaukee. We'll see. Trying to keep things open. And then the other thing that we discussed in our set review was, of course, Powerline, who I think is going to be one of the big menaces in the format. And so this is my like very early brew of what a Powerline deck could be. And so it's running the 2-drop and the 4-drop, or I guess the 6-drop, the shift for 4 Powerline. And so I think there's a good chance this wants the other Powerline that has Rush if you've played a song that turn. Just because the format does look like it's going to be so aggressive, it's very possible that that is just a good idea. As our like kind of off-plan cards, we're playing Clarabelle, and then we're playing the Shift Clarabelle, just as a way of like refilling our hand if we get there. And so like we have a lot of strength in our cards, and so having a way of like refilling our hand and getting some cards back based on how many cards our opponent has, I think is really good. This also, like, we'll talk eye to eye in specific, but like since eye to eye does give both players cards, but then theoretically we could play more cards after we play that song to have fewer. Like Clarabelle could have some good hits and could help us out with with like staying like ahead of our opponents just in cards. And then I put Roxanne in here. This is kind of the same argument that we had with like the 2-drop Anna, where like this card is just so on theme for us that we like can have a 2 quester or a 3/3 attacker as we need. And so like again, the fact that like Roxanne just like randomly gains strength, I think is really good. And so again, or can quest for 2. I talked about this in the set review, but the like or can quest for 2 is a super strong thing in Lorcana of just like, hey, this is a really good card that does this really powerful thing, or it can quest for 2. And so like I think Roxanne is gonna be powerful. Did put both maxes in here, just kind of as a starting point. Having another like a 3-drop singer is really good for Roxanne, I think. And then also just gives us other outs if we don't have our power line to sing songs. This goof, or this max, like this is the one that if we pay an extra 1, we can return a song from our discard to our hand. So like we could sing a song with one of our singers, play max goof, pay an extra 1, get the song back, replay it. It does have to be a song with cost 3 or less. And so this is a card that like I think will, at some point in this format, there will be a super good song printed and people are like, oh, well, that's just perfect because you can get it back with max. I don't necessarily know if we're there yet, but I do think that that is something to like be keeping an eye out on. Then we have big max goof, the shift. So both of our 3-drop maxes go into this one. So when this character quests, you can play a song that costs 4 or less from your discard for free and put it on the bottom of your deck instead of in your discard. So again, quests for 2, buys you back a song. And so I do feel like there's going to be some confusion of like this max being a 3 or less, this max being a 4 or less, but like here we are. Maui, because we're playing a whole bunch of songs are actions. Maui Half Shark gets you lore whenever you play actions. And then like buys you back songs with your Chi Wu. Just use that to get your actions back. And then here we have Power Line, kind of the namesake of the deck. Once during your turn, when this character sings a song, you can look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a song that costs 9 or less and play it for free. Put the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. And so just basically gives you double songs most of the time. This version of the list, as you can see, is playing 25 songs. So like over a third. So like each card has like a roughly 40% chance, very quick math there, of being a song. And so the odds of you like whiffing on that, I think, is pretty low. Of course, can happen, but like you should hit a song in your top 4 cards. Basically, anytime you're above 15 songs, the odds of that ability hitting are high. But people have seen plenty of aerial voiceless. Not voiceless. Whatever the aerial is from last format. That was in Steel Song. Ariel. This one, Spectacular Singer. People in Steel Song were playing 20 plus songs and she would still whiff from time to time. So again, something to figure out there. And then we already talked about Clarabelle, but yeah, just refills our hand. Here, and this is one of the problems, is like I'm not hyped on a lot of the 3 or less songs for Little Max. And so I think this might end up being a card that just kind of gets set aside for now and then comes back later. But that's a future conversation for what that's going to look like. And so, yeah, Heffalumps and Woozles is kind of like one of the good songs. Like if we go to Emerald, Ruby, this is one of the places that some of the other power line color combinations might be better, is that there's just better lower cost songs. Legality, and then we want type song. So like Sudden Chill is cool, but we have a lot of things that give our opponents cards. You Can Fly gives evasive, that's cool. Like Stand Out gives evasive, that's cool. Like Mother's Knows Best, just as a tempo play of bouncing an opposing character, could be a card that we want to play in this deck. Obviously not inkable, but like, and then we don't want to play Island I Pulled from the Sea. And so like, there really just like aren't a lot of good like 3 or less song options other than like Mother Knows Best, Heffalumps and Woozles. I don't know, maybe Evasive does become a thing and then like stand out, and becomes a big enough deal that like this is worth it and just gives us another thing. But there's just like not a lot of like great 3 or fewer cost songs in this set right now. 4-drop wise though, we got You're Welcome. Shuffle chosen character, item, or location into their player's deck. That player draws 2 cards. So like definitely like a be careful, but like you can use this as a way of turning like an opponent's very strong card into just hopefully 2 less strong cards. This also works great against shifts because you are then getting rid of 2 of their cards to then give them to others. So like there is that as well. You can also use this on your own characters to draw 2 cards yourself. Like I don't know how often that's really where you want to be, but like the fact that you could like quest with a Clarabelle, like You're Welcome it back into your deck to then draw 2 cards, like maybe that's like where you want to be some portion of the time. King Undisputed, your opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. You just have to have ways of getting rid of your opponent's stuff. And then on the high end, we got Pirate's Life as another Sing Together. Max is a singer 5 and Powerline is a singer 4. And so like they both need help singing a Pirate's Life, but it is there for it. Don't Let the Frostbite Bite. I don't know if this card's good, but like it seems on plan for what this deck wants to do. Of like you could quest for a bunch, like sing a song, hit Don't Let the Frostbite Bite off of Powerline, ready your stuff, sing another song with your characters, or just have this be a piece of protection for your characters. And so, and then Under the Sea as our answer to the aggressive decks, and then Nothing We Won't Do. Ready all characters for the rest of the turn. They take no damage from challenges and can't quest. So again, this is kind of the same idea as Don't Let the Frostbite Bite, where like you ready your characters and then they can't quest, but you can sing more songs with them, or you can use this just as a way of like Nothing We Won't Do actually like protects your characters if they then go in and challenge. And so I could see some version of like the play pattern where like you're using, like you have 3 or 4 characters in play, you quest, sing one of these songs, ideally Nothing We Won't Do, sing that with Powerline, ready your characters, and then challenge, sing the another one of these songs to ready your characters, and then like you just kind of keep chaining through. And the fact that like your characters aren't taking damage in challenges like can do a lot of work to like answer things. And so that's why there's a 2-2 split here right now. It's possible that like that 1 extra cost on this isn't a big deal and this should just be 4 Nothing We Won't Do, but like I put both of them in here just kind of to mark them as cards I'm interested in. And then finally, Eye to Eye. Each player draws 2 cards and gains 2 lore. If 2 or more characters sang this song, ready them, they can't quest for the rest of the turn. So again, this lets you buy back your singers. Powerline sings this by himself, although of course we would need to over-sing in that situation to then ready the characters back up. But like Powerline being like a 6/4 that quests for 2, again, does something very powerful, or quests for 2 is like very strong. And so this is like my take on this list. Again, we'll see how things shift up or shift around. I could see again some other like 3-drop songs being very powerful, and or Max just coming out for now. I mean, we just focus on this other line and this Max just becomes another utility piece. Either another good song, or like there's the what is the character? It's the Jesus guy. The Leaning Tower of Jesus. But like Chris Merfolk here. Like, it's possible that like this is just a card that is like important enough that like is where we need to be. They're up here. Bobby Zimorski. So like when you play this character, draw a card, then just choose and discard a card. Like, it's possible that that is just where we want to be. It's possible that we just want Merfolk. It's possible that you just want Pegasus. Like, having some other like early-ish cards, probably not Pegasus, in this example, but like, it's possible that like that's just kind of where you would rather be with this deck. Something that I didn't put in this version as well, but like I did see versions that are playing Bend to My Will, which is a 7-cost action, not a song, but it's a 7-cost action that makes your opponent discard their hand. And so like that's something that's obviously could be very powerful with Your Welcome, as seen in the like Baja Blast decks right now, of just ways of like, oh yeah, you're going to draw 2 extra cards and then I'm going to make you discard your hand. And then obviously like works with Eye to Eye of like, oh, Eye to Eye will give you cards and then I will get rid of those cards. And the idea of like, well, how do you beat the value that you're giving your opponent? You strip away the cards as fast as possible. And then I do think, changing up our filters and going back to songs for a moment, I think there's a good chance that Powerline could just be strong enough for Infinity, where you just have access to more songs. Like, Strike a Good Match just to draw a card and discard a card. Like, also then works off Max Goof later. That you can just like get this back, sing it, and like pull things back in, just as a way of keeping your hand good to go. Like, and then you have like Teeth and Ambition, deal 2 damage to chosen character of yours to deal 2 damage to another character. Like, it's possible that that's just like a good way of answering stuff. Like Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo, like banish chosen character of yours, or return chosen character of yours to your hand to play a character of the same cost or less for free. Like, this lets us like reset Max, or like if this version of the deck is going to go to like a Go-Go Tamago route, like this would let you reset Go-Go, because like that would be a good like kind of off-plan card that would be powerful. We already talked about Mother Knows Best just as a way of like forcing things through. But like with there being like other good like lower cost songs, like it's possible that the Max Powerline package is just strong enough to be worth it. And then while like I don't know from like an Infinity perspective how much things are going to get shaken up from like what's currently in the meta, but like a lot of like Let the Storm Rage On is a 3-drop song. And so like the ability of like Max to like rebuy those songs could also be very powerful. But then that would put you into the like, then the deck then kind of becomes weird because you're playing like Emerald Steel, where there's like, then you lose your singers or whatever, but like, maybe like a steel, like a amber ruby variation that is like using a whole bunch of singers to do a whole bunch of song stuff. It could be that there's some good options there. So I don't know. Some cool ideas. And like I said, I could definitely see this deck using Cursed Merfolk instead of Max Goof, at least right off the bat. Again, just because like there's not necessarily anything great for him to hit, but this is the type of card that I would want 4 of just to have and be ready to put in. And so, because as soon as like in a future set, a great like 3-drop Ruby Emerald song gets printed, I think it becomes super powerful. And then, you do need to be careful there. Like if you do buy it back and then plan to shift later, of like that is 4 ink for both, of course. But like, I do think that there's some number of time that you return a card with Max Goof that you then would want to play with Chart Topper on the next turn. So definitely be careful there. And then the last deck that I have prepared, and then we'll go kind of click around on the site, maybe build a deck, but like take a look around. This is inspired by Magic the Gathering. And so this is Amber Amethyst Reanimation. And so this deck builds off a very popular idea in Magic which is that you play aggressive, and then you discard a card for value, and then you get back a very powerful card early for much less cost. And so we are playing, this is at its core a Princess Queen deck, but is much less focused on those synergies than the other cards or the other deck that we looked at. So here we have the Aurora, makes our princesses cheaper and queens cheaper. And then we're playing a much larger 3-drop package than the other list. At least I think it's 3. This is 12. How many were we looking at here? I guess this is still 12. And so it is the same number. It's possible this deck just wants Mulan or wants Tiana, though, which are just not here. But like, this is a very rough draft. But so the idea here being that like you have a bunch of characters that you can play early. I put Maribel in here. It's possible that this is like the wrong card for this deck, but like since she's not a princess, but like you have this Aurora, then you have the Queen, and then because now we're like in Amethyst, this also gives us shifts for this Belle, which is pretty cool. And so this gives us the ability of like buying out this Belle into this other one to move some damage around. So that's pretty cool. And then we get into like our top end, which is our Anna Elsa package that we're stealing from Blurple. So we have the 5 ink Rush Elsa. Then we have this Anna that we probably don't want 4 of. Like that's probably wrong. But when you play this character, exert all opposing characters. Quest for 2. And then you have Elsa that when you play this, you exert 2 chosen characters. They can't ready at the start of their next turn. But then that gets to how this deck functions, which is this is a Circle of Life deck where this lets you play a character from your discard for free. So basically you're using your queen discards to set up one of your high cost princesses and queens, then using your singers to buy that card back. And so I was talking about this, like brewing this with a friend, but like basically all of our like low drop stuff is to like facilitate getting us more cards so that we can make sure we're able to discard our princesses and queens. So like Be Our Guest like gets us a character off of the top 4. I Won't Give In gives us 2 cards back from our discard. Like This Is My Family draws us a card and gains us a lore. World's Greatest Criminal Mind. This is kind of a card that I was talking about for that Amber Ruby version where you're just like sniping a big thing, but like this like takes out any big threats to our characters and to our plan. Look at This Family gives us 5 cards, or looks at 5 cards, gives us 2 characters. And then Fantastical and Magical just draws a whole bunch of cards and gains us a whole bunch of lore based on the number of stuff that we have in play. So like, is this deck good? Probably not. Like, full honesty there. But like, this is the type of deck. I was listening to Rules of Villainy because they were commentating a tournament, and one of the things that they talked about is like how aggro tends to be very good, and like they said it in a different way than how I'm about to say it. But the thing that I'll call out is like the idea that like aggro is good because the floor of an aggro deck is high. That like you put in a bunch of 2 questers for 1, like that's just going to be a powerful deck. It might not have a high ceiling, but it has a high floor. Because your opponent just has to answer you, and you're going to win some amount of decks just by being too fast. This deck is kind of the opposite of like, I think the floor of this deck is extremely low, of like you don't draw Circle of Life, you never get your princess back, and you're just in trouble, especially without like Ariel. Like, so this is a deck that could also be pretty cool for Infinity. And like take out Maribel, put in a different princess. But this is a card that I really like, and so I put it in here as a starting point. But yeah, it's like I feel like there's a version of this deck that could be very powerful, but like there's a lot of nuance to what you're doing here. And then the question just becomes like, is it better than just playing an aggressive deck in the colors? And like that's something I don't know of. Like, is this just too cute trying to reanimate this Anna Elsa? And yeah, I just don't have an answer there. So I get to go ban a bot. Give me 1 second.
250. Oh. We're doing it right away.
We are not muted on Twitch. Let me go to click the right thing. Go to our channel. This is what I get for not having the channel open already. But okay, let's go and ban this. Perfect. Okay, so again, is this good? Like, I don't know, but like it's fun and I definitely want to try it. There's a player at my locals that plays like what I will call random decks. But it's basically the off meta kind of weird decks that like are a lot of fun, but like don't necessarily see competitive play. Like he was playing like a hey deck from one of the previous sets. And so let's see, what is it? It's this one. So it's this. Oops, click the wrong thing. It's this hey. So when you play this character, put all cards from your hand into your inkwell face down. Like, okay. Like, so he was playing like this with Oswald of like, okay, we're going to ink like 4 cards, get 4 triggers off Oswald, and then have this like hey in play. And so like he plays a lot of stuff like that. And so I think that there's like a very fun like version of this deck that could exist, and that like I kind of want to pass to him as be like, hey, figure out what this is gonna look like, because he's a very cool, like he brews very cool and like very random decks. And so but yeah, it's like, again, do I think this deck's good? Definitely not. I know I'm not like selling this very well, but like I think there's some really cool stuff here as this like alternate take on what these colors are doing. Just because I think Circle of Life is a super interesting card. Let's go back here. Let's go to legality. Go here. But like if we look for like Singer, I did not do what I wanted. What did we do? Oh, that was. Oh, they had Singer in their last name. I was like, what even happened here? So like we have this, but like Clawhouser also sings, but like this one's evasive and gets protected. Like, I don't think we want to play Gazelle. Like, but like this Ariel is just like a Singer 7. Like maybe that's where we want to be. Like she is a princess, so she does work. Like this Tiana sings, like, and shrinks down opposing stuff. Like there's some cool stuff here. And so like I do feel like the core of this deck is really good, or is very interesting. Maybe that's a way to say it. But this is one that I'm probably going to be like continuously brewing throughout the format. And we're going to just try to find stuff that like is super interesting and has crazy vibes and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I'm very, very excited, very hopeful for what this could be. But it will definitely take some time to figure that out. Yeah. And so those are the decks that like I've been putting together so far. Again, like 3 of them I think are like what I'll say are like serious players in the format, being like this version of Blurple, again, some number of cards changed around, the Princess list, and then Powerline. I think are going to be like, again, maybe not all tier 1 lists, but I think will be like decks that you need to be prepared for in the format. And then like 2 of them are like a little bit more cute with our Anna Elsa Blurple, and then our Amber Amethyst Reanimation. Like those ones are definitely more of just like, this is a cute deck that does cute things. And then this is one that's like, I just don't know if this is better, but like it's an interesting alternate take. And so like I've been collecting the cards to be able to build this version as well. And so, but we'll see. Playtesting will be a huge part of this. And so, but we have now entered the let's go take a look at random decks portion of the stream. And so we're going to go and we're on popular. And then I believe, we have our core constructed. And so we're going to actually just go take a look at like some of the big decks that are online and just kind of see what other people are brewing. So let's get this Amethyst Steel. We'll get this other Blurple, other princesses. I have no clue what this, we're like having trouble. Hello. Oh, we just opened. Okay, I see what happened. Okay, there we go. And then let's see. We can open this, and then let's go take a look at what people are saying with doggos. I think Amber Emerald is going to be very powerful this set. This looks to be a budget version of the list, but like I think that dogs are going to be very powerful just because they were very powerful last set and like didn't lose that much. And so like churn of dogs is a big thing that like, I don't know, maybe lost. I mean, I think it was plain Piglet, but like really just lost Piglet and Chernabog. So we'll take a look there and kind of see what happens. And then if we have time, we might look at this. Have not seen a lot of people talking Amethyst Emerald, so we'll open that one as well. And so, but yeah, let's go take a look. So Flinger Dingers, I hate that name. Let me tell you that. But this is Amethyst Ruby, like moving damage around. And so, let's see. What are they added? Glimmer versus Glimmer. Re-added Longboat. Interesting. So, just like the basic premise for like decks like this are using cards like Bell. You also have there's another. Oh, so the Juju moves damage around, and then Mother Gothel, basically, just like is a deck built around putting damage on your characters and then moving them where you want them on your opposing characters. Also a pretty good budget deck. It looks like, yeah, like nothing like this Bell. I mean, this is the Enchanted, which is best art. We talked about this in our set review, but like this is an interesting budget deck. So let's take a look. So we have the Rafiki. That second point of toughness is huge because it means that they survive, so they can sit with a damage on them. This Mulan enters with damage to give you. Juju moves damage. What's this queen? While this character has damage, she gets 3 strength. Is this playing? Oh no, that's the Ruby Emerald Queen that damages everything when they're played would be very strong here, but obviously it's different colors. You need 2 colors for that. When you play this character, you can deal 2 damage to a character of yours. To return chosen character, it costs 2 or less to their player's hand. So it's an interesting tempo piece. Only questing for 1, I feel like could be slow on this, but like ideally you're dealing damage to your thing to then bounce their thing. Mother Gothel moves a damage, so when one of your characters challenges, you can move 1 damage from chosen character to chosen opposing character. So this is the same wording as Bell, except off of a challenge instead of on enters play. And so this lets you challenge in, you can put the damage on yourself and then move that damage to the thing that you're challenging to take out something bigger than you. Or you can even use this as a way of like one of your opponent's other characters has damage on it. This lets you move it to a different of their characters. And so that's pretty cool. Prince John Scaredy Cat, like just kind of gives you a big place to like put your damage. Madam Mim Elephant. I know people have been talking about this card as a whole as like potentially seeing play. It just like didn't get there with the other Madam Mims, but so when you play this, banish her or return another character to your hand. At the start of your turn, you can move up to 2 damage from this character to chosen opposing character. So that's cool. So like that gives you a very good like challenger for this of like, hey, you can just constantly be moving damage around. Not having rush, I feel like, is a big thing there, but like you can move so much damage. Panic when you play this, and it's also good. Also good off like Madame Medusa. Like she just carries that damage well. So when you play this character, move 2 damage from chosen character to chosen opponent character. Moana, when this character challenges another character of yours gains 3 strength. That card feels a little random in this list. Maybe it's just here as like an evasive out. It doesn't seem like that fits the theme. Bell, move damage around. When one of your characters challenges another character, you can draw a card. I'd be curious if this is going to be strong enough to see play we talked about this in our previous set, but like a lot of the higher cost when a character challenges cards have just not been able to see play. Now, granted, this does have shift 2, and there is like a lower drop queen. So maybe like you basically just like ignore this queen's effect and go into this bigger one. And then probably the card that will end up holding the deck together is Hades. When you play this character and whenever he quests, deal 2 damage to another character of yours to draw 2 cards. So like you can quest with Hades, deal 2 to Madame Mim, and then on your upkeep or at the start of your turn, move that 2 damage to one of your opponent's characters, and then do that again, which seems pretty strong. Like I think if this archetype is gonna see play, it's gonna be off the back of like needing to get to this Hades, and then this Hades like just providing you with so much damage that you can do stuff with on future turns. Everybody's got weaknesses as an action. Remove 1 from each damaged character you have in play to chosen opposing character. Draw a card for each damage moved this way. So like if you have 3 damaged characters, move them to one of your opponent's characters. Ideally take that character out, then draw 3 cards. Very powerful. I think I referenced this card in one of my set champs reviews because I did have an opponent that was playing it. King Undisputed as just a way of like answering things. Like this would be something that you would have to play test out, but like are you able to keep them on low enough characters to where when there's something that you can't easily move damage to, this actually gets rid of it? I would be super curious of like going to like our princess deck of like, how do you beat double Aurora? Like, do you? Or like, do you just get locked behind like not being able to answer those? And so very curious of like how much ward will end up in the new format. So they re-added this, and so it just gives evasive, so just a way of dealing damage to more stuff. And so yeah, it just gives us more evasive answers than before. Okay, and then Radigan's Party. While you have a damaged character here, this location gains 2 lore. Like that seems pretty good. So like this is a 2-drop, so it's 3 to play it and move a character there. But like Mulan obviously like starts with damage. Like Queen wants to have some amount of damage, and so like if you can get like 2 characters to Radigan's Party, like that's pretty good. I like how the breakout. So they have 16 dingers, 20 flingers, and then 10 card draw. So I do think that this is like a valuable like way of looking at your deck, kind of going to like how we talked about like the princess deck of like a synergy piece, or maybe even like our reanimation deck here of it's like we only have one way of putting a card in the discard, and we only have one way of getting it out onto the battlefield for free. And so like things to consider. But again, I hate flinger dingers, but that's also me. That is just like a deck's name should just be what it does and not try to be cute. And so like this should just be Ruby Amethyst damage. IMO. But and we have doggos, no longer Chernadogs, but doggos as a whole. And so we have our daisies as like one of the premier 1-drops in the format. You have Lady that like ideally you're supporting up and then can quest for a bunch. I say that, they may not have. You have a draw and discard because Tramp, I believe, still works with. No. I thought there was a Tramp that did something with the graveyard, but I am not singing it. So Bobby, we have Merfolk. That's a lot of 1-drops. We have this Lady. We have Merryweather. We pay 1 to give a character +2. The Merryweather feels weird, but that could just be me. It feels like if you're going to be playing, what is this? 24 1-drops. Like you probably are not a deck that is challenging. 2-drops, we have Lilo, the new mini. No, not the new mini. This is set 7 mini. So when you play a character, this character gains 1 lore. When this character quests, chosen opposing character loses strength. Each of this has lore until the start of your next turn. So good way of shrinking down an opponent. Stitch, this character gains 1. Again, that feels off to me. I feel like there's got to be like just another aggressively slanted 2-drop you want to play. And then this Tramp is cheaper if you have a lady, and then when you play this character, chosen character of yours gets 1 until then for each other character you have in play. So it's a good way of like whereas like this is like a 2 or like this is a 1 that you can granted activate multiple times, but like this is just like, cool, I'm going to give a +5 to something and take something out. Evasive Genie, there being no 3s is bananas to me. Then we're just like looking at random lists, but like when this character is exerted, other characters gain 2 willpower or 2 strength. So we talked about this. Somebody called this out. I think it was Keywisk called this out as being really good with Lady. Of like, this just gives it so that if this is exerted, you only need to play 1 card for Lady to quest for 3. We have Big Lady, shift 3. When you play this character, you can return 2 characters that cost 2 or less each from your discard to your hand. So like, okay, that works with Bobby. Like that's a way of getting a character back. And then like it gives you like an out for your other stuff. Stitch Rockstar, like, oh, I guess that makes sense of like, so this Stitch may like legitimately just be here because there's no other shift target for Rockstar. And you definitely don't want to play this for 6. And so when you play this character, when you play a character with 2 or less cost, you may exert them to draw a card. Curious if that'll see play, because like that was a very like big card from set 1. So then we have Tramp, shift 4. During your opponent's turn, whenever one of your characters is banished, you draw a card. Really great for an aggro list. And then Tramp, again, this one costs less. This is the one. This is each character you have in play, not discard. I mean, I know Chernobog is discard, but I thought there was a Tramp that like powered up if you had discarded cards. Like this one then is like when you play them, you can draw a card for each character you have in play, then choose and discard those cards. So yeah, so there's not like great ways other than this Lady of getting your cards out of your discard, but this kind of goes to what I was saying of like, I feel like the floor of this deck is very powerful of like Daisy, Lady, other Lady, Cursed Merfolk, the Tramps, that like, I feel like that 30-40 card core is just going to be super powerful. And then it's just going to kind of just be, how do you want to go from there to actually close out the game and actually like do stuff. And so I do want to come here. Stitch. Yeah, I mean, I guess like the scene, I would play this one over the Alien Dancer. So yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that just like is like the only like reasonable shiftable like one for this. So, yeah. So cool list again. I do think Chernodogs is going to be a big part of the format. Again, just because like the aggro package is just going to be so powerful. And then it's just like, again, like Mayweather may like legitimately just, Merryweather may just like legitimately be here because they're a 1-drop, and that means you can power up Lady. Like it's going to be a lot harder to punish decks for going wide in this new format. So like on like turn 1, play Daisy, quest for 2. Turn 2, Locke, how's it going? I'm doing great. Hope you are as well. Turn 2, play like Daisy, Curse Merfolk. Then turn 3, just like 1-drop, 1-drop, 1-drop. And then like now you're like super wide. Like you're questing for 7, going to 9 on your turn 3. And then like ideally locking things up to win on the next turn. So got the kiddo up and running. Nice. Today's better than yesterday. I'm glad it's a better day than yesterday was for you. And so we are chatting potential new decks for the new Lorcana set. And so happy to have you with us. Appreciate you coming by. And then let's go to our next one. So this is the one I was very confused about just because like I feel like I have not heard people talk about these colors. So this is an aggro list. I have thoughts about calling this aggro just right off the bat, but like, cause like I don't feel like you want Rafiki in your aggro deck, but like Rafiki is intended to slow cards down, but maybe that trade off is just worth it. Diablo, Evasive Challenger. I was playing against this some in one of my set champs, and this card is like a real deal. Again, like it feels weird that it's in an aggro list and not like in a tempo one, but like that is a very powerful card. Like being an evasive 3/2 is crazy. Madam Mim again gives your other stuff challenger. It just feels like there's a lot of challenger in this, and that's probably not where you want to be in a competitive list. I thought Madam Mim was riding a skateboard. She does have that vibe. That is definitely true. Go, let's go. Very good card. Could see this, and we referenced this in like our power line deck. Like it's very possible that this is just a card that like that deck wants, just as a way of or having an out of like this card is just too generally strong to not be playing. In some number. Lewis enters play exerted and then gives an opposing character reckless. So ideally they have to challenge into Lewis and then they get knocked out. Dumbo. Oh, okay. So seeing Dumbo make some of this earlier stuff like, because like Dumbo is super good with Pegasus and Diablo. Okay, I see you. The genies, Elsa. So this, okay. Again, like I feel like calling this aggro, like this would be a great aggro deck in Magic, where you are just attacking for a whole bunch. But like, there's not a lot of ways of like getting ahead on lore in this list. And then you have pull the lever, wrong lever. So pull the lever is draw 2 cards or each opponent discards a card. And then wrong lever is return chosen character to their player's hand, or put a card named pull the lever from your discard onto the bottom of your deck to choose a character, put chosen character on the bottom of their player's deck. So, and then Heffalumps, and then Emerald Chromicon. During opponent's turn, whenever one of your characters is banished, you may ready chosen character, return chosen character to their player's hand. That's interesting. So like it definitely like makes your opponent's turn difficult because they have to know that like, okay, I'm going to challenge and banish, but then like they can bounce something. So I need to make sure that I can quest out. All right. Yeah. If this was your turn, I think this would be really good, but like, yeah, this list is interesting. Like, again, I would not call this aggro for Lorcana, but and just because you don't have a lot of 2 questers or anything, but I think it's a very interesting list and does have a very low curve, so it's pretty cool. Okay, so purple steel mid-range. Let's take a look at what this is trying to do. So we have Diablo and Captain Hook as our 1-drops. Hook is a 1/2 with Challenger 2, so cool. Again, I like Hook just as a way of like, there are going to be times where you just need to challenge twice with Hook just to get something off of your opponent's side of the board. Cusco's great, quests, and then when they're banished, you draw a card. So like same as Diablo, but like on an additional creature. Calhoun, I think, is going to be very good in this format. If you're playing Steel, because during your turn when this character banishes another character in a challenge, gain 2 lore. I think there's going to be enough other character decks that like Calhoun is just going to be great. So like using this as our example, like Calhoun, granted, can't one-shot Daisy, but like Calhoun goes into Lady, Bobby, Cursed Merfolk, Other Lady, Merryweather, Lilo, Minnie, this Stitch, this Tramp, like goes into like basically the whole like first, basically every 1 and 2 drop of this deck Calhoun goes into for free and takes no damage. So like I think Calhoun is going to be a big deal in that regard. Just that resist 1 and that ability to gain lore, I think is going to be super strong. Doc, great card, refills your hand. Giant Cobra, love it. We have the evasive Tink that just draws 2 or just quests for 2. Also, like good card. Then Lawrence deals 4 damage or just quests for 2. Very hard to get around now that you don't have Fox to like 1-to-1 trade with it. So we have Lilo. When you play this character, your other characters gain Challenger 2. And when this quest, your aliens gain Challenger 2. I doubt there are any aliens in this deck. Oh, there is one Stitch. Okay. So like you got something that you can do there. Pete, stop actions. Again, probably going to be very powerful. Definitely think there's going to be some good action decks with Powerline. Big Genie draws a card, has evasive. We already talked about this Madam Mim. Stitch, during your turn, whenever this character banishes another in a challenge, you can draw a card and gain 1 lore. So similar to Calhoun, that like ideally this card is like taking out 2+ cards and gaining you at least 2+ lore. And so some great value there. And then you have Belle and Elsa. So like I think that this is a good 4 into 5 of like Stitch on 4, and then play Elsa, exert something so that you can take it out with Stitch and get a card. And then they got Big Tink. And so Big Tink is when you play this character, deal 1 damage to each opposing character. During your turn, one of this character banishes another in a challenge, deal 2 damage to chosen opposing character. So some good stuff there. Like deals a lot of damage, takes something out, deals that damage to the other side, and then Strength of the Raging Fire. This probably wants Fire the Cannons in some number, just as another way of answering low drop characters. Fire the Cannons also lets you like double up with that and Calhoun to take out a Daisy. And so like that takes you and lets you take out anything with like 5 willpower pretty easily. It also takes out your other opposing illusion characters and stuff like that. So I don't know. I feel like this probably wants some number, like two or more Fire the Cannons, just as other ways of answering things. So, but yeah, cool list. Very interesting. Next up, so this is another Blurple list. It is a combo, control, and competitive. So it is okay. So the again, very similar to our list. The reason that they're marking this as combo is because this is playing Dumbo, which gives your evasive characters exert, pay 1, draw a card, gain a lore, Monstro, and then is playing the Magic Feather. So like as long as this item is in play, chosen character gains evasive, and then you can return it to your hand. So like you can play this, give Monstro evasive, quest for 2, and then basically ready and exert to gain a bunch. I think that combo is probably going to be more cute than good, but that kind of is also using the logic of previous format where like there's a lot more removal. So like it's very possible that people are going to be skimping on their removal, and so or just not have a lot to begin with. And so maybe it's much easier to stick a Dumbo in play or much easier to like protect Magic Feather, because like if there's not other item lists, maybe like you just don't play cards like Alice or Cusco if there's not other item or location lists in the blue shells. So I'm curious if All This Found is going to see play. This is one that's like been in every Sapphire deck that I built, and then I always end up cutting it. I just think it ends up being too slow. But like it is really good, and the fact that you can sing it is powerful. This deck doesn't have like a ton of cards that can sing it, and you have no way of singing it early, but like it is just sing, right? Yeah, it's not sing together. Finders Keepers, Sail, For Develop is interesting. That's something that you don't always see in like the versions of this list, but I could see that being strong. They're playing the new Ursula, so when you play this character, exert chosen opposing ready character, you can then play a song with cost equal to or less than the exerted character set. And hopefully that gives you another way if you're going second. That gives you some buyout of like, oh, they played a powerful 5-drop. You can then play Ursula, grab that 5-drop, and then sing All Is Found or Into the Unknown. So that is a thing. And then anything else? They're playing Yelena. When you play this character, chosen character gains Challenger 2 until the start of your next turn. I'm not huge on that card. I mean, it does just quest for 2, being powerful, but I don't know. That just feels slow. Are you giving Challenger to Tipo or Diablo? Again, I don't know. That just feels weird to me. And this feels a lot better if you're playing Royal Guard, where you can then Royal Guard has effectively 4 strength to take something out. But it's an interesting take for sure. This is another princess list. Let's see how this differs. Okay, so this is playing Daisy. It's playing Nala as well. Interesting. And so then, okay, it's playing that Jasmine. So it took out 2-drop wise. It took out Vanellope. Interesting. I don't think that is what I would have cut from this list. Then Lilo, cool, Ludwig, Rue. When you play this character, you may give chosen character -2 strength at the start of your next turn. They're playing this Anna. Okay, Stitch is a hero, but because they lost Vanellope, they okay. But they get this Aurora now. Lady seems strong. And then Tiana, Cruella. I said before, I think Cruella is a really weird card because it makes it so you want to be banishing your own characters during your turn, and those characters have to have cost 2 or less, and then they get put in your inkwell. But then it makes your opposing characters with cost 2 or less have less strength. So I feel like that's very hard. This is the type of card that I think is going to be cute but not great a lot of the time because of that. But I could definitely be wrong. If this was during your opponent's turn when a character with cost 2 or less is banished, yes, fantastic. And then Moana, very cool. This is something we didn't talk about. I could also see the beasts in our princess deck becoming this Moana. So I kind of talked about this slot, also the Maid Marian slot. I could see some number of these again, wanting to be daisies, wanting to be that bigger Moana, just have some other options here. This card did get new wording for the new version. Let's see. So it's this one. Whenever this character quests, you can ready your other exerted princess characters. If you do, they can't quest for the rest of the turn. And so makes it so that if you use this because current wording was when within this character quests, you can ready your other princesses. They can't quest till the start of the next turn. So it made it so that if you had 2 of them, it was unclear if you could still quest with both. Whereas now it's only the characters that you readied that can't quest. So it gives you more outs there. And then it also makes it so you could quest with 1, not use the ability, then you could always do that. This is a May, I guess, but it gives you more options. So very cool list. Again, some Rue feels weird to me, and not playing the Vanellopes feel weird to me. I feel like I would take out Rue and Aurora and put in Vanellopes. But that could be wrong because you're adding a card that now misses with Lady, and so because you're basically losing you're losing 8 2-drops to gain 4 1-drops and then a 4-drop. So I don't know. Testing there would be a big deal, but I do feel like you also just have I guess you still have those hits. That hits, yeah. I don't know. Again, and then there not being any 4s in here also feels weird. I think this would be a good aggro list, but popped up thanks to the idea to fast track your way to Tiana. The new aurora and speed through the game due to a lack of targeted. Yeah. So okay. Some weirdness there, but overall, I think it's a good idea. So let's take a look at this list, and then we might go back and look for a couple more. So, okay, so we have Happy and Doc. Are we playing mine? We're not playing mine. Okay, so we kind of just have Happy here for the vibes. So we give resist, have Happy, that gains evasive during your turn. We have Tipo, but we don't have Sail. Okay, kind of weird. Doc, great. When you play it, you can draw 2 cards, or discard your hand, draw 2 cards. Smee gives evasive. Alice gives support to your other characters. And so the idea is that you then support onto this Alice as they're questing. And then once she gets a 10 or more power, she quests for 5. So like, so this would be a ideally on turn 3, you play Alice. Do you have a way? No, you don't. Like getting to 9 would be absurd on turn 4, but then I would assume this is 2, 5. Yeah, so I would assume that like turn 5 you can pretty easily have Alice quest for 4, or quest for 5, 4 extra. And then what is Pliki? When you play this character, put chosen character of yours into your inkwell face down and exerted. Oh. Okay. So it's a good way of like taking your damaged characters and putting them in your inkwell. Gives you something to do with Tipo also. I kind of chatted about that earlier of like, I don't necessarily think Tipo is a great, after you ink with it, Tipo has a lot of problems if it's just like not really good enough to do anything. That being said, like it's a great card, so I don't think it needs anything else, but like, this gives you the ability to like quest with Tipo, play this, put Tipo in your inkwell, and like you're now farther ahead. Another dragon that gains evasive during your turn. This is the alien. We have Jasmine. Was there another? Oh yeah, they are playing the 1-drop Jasmine. So when you play this character, look at the top 3. You can reveal an ally. So this is the Cameron complains about ally cards. So like they do have a good number. Those are all allies. That makes... Okay, so like you have a good number of options for allies. As I will always complain about this Jasmine, the fact that like she cares about allies and her shifts are not allies, I think is bad and is like poor design there. I've always said that, and then like I've never actually looked. Are the Aladdin's allies? No. They're heroes. Yeah, so that's even weirder to me. So it's not like she even like can hit Aladdin's. Pluto, bodyguard, when it has no damage, gain 5. Strength. Scar is pretty cool. Allies get +1 strength, and then the beginning of this turn, if it's exerted, you can draw cards equal to the strength of chosen ally of yours, and then draw cards. So ideally you want to be drawing like 4 to 5 cards, then discarding 2. Big Tink, I believe, yeah, is an ally, and then obviously is just powerful. Hades is good. What is this? When you play this character, deal 3 damage to chosen character. Quest for 3, like I would assume you can probably ramp into that pretty, like relatively easily. Again, this not having Sail, I think, is really weird to me. And then this, like having this Lilo, I think is weird to me as well. Like, yes, you can give Challenger to something, which you could then use to power up like the support onto Alice, but like this like Lilo just feels weird to me. And since you're not playing the other Stitch, I feel like this Lilo should be Sail the Azurite Sea. IMO. And so because then like you're not losing an inkable for that trade. And that just gives you something else that you can do with your ink. I just feel like you're going to want to be playing one of your other 3 drops over this Lilo like 90% of the time. I guess there is one sneaky alien. Okay. but there's only one. This guy isn't. No, he's like, obviously he's a human, but like, yeah, you only have Pleaky as an alien who like, I mean, like, I guess challenging for 5 is pretty strong, but in hitting a ready character, but I feel like you would want a Stitch, a Leela, like to go with this. Maybe like still have Pleco, but like it just feels like that doesn't fit. Okay, let's see what time we can probably look at a couple more decks. We pulled up Doggos. This is another. We look at that one. What is Amber Steel doing? And then we have Ruby Steel with the combo tag. Let's go to this. Yes, these are other people's decks. So this is Dreamborn, which is basically like an aggregator. And so people can build decks on here and then you can look at them. And so we're just looking at popular decks for the new format. And so let's look at this one. Let's pull up Emerald Steel. Okay. So, and then like some of them, like Boba Fett is like a pretty major one. Like deck builder, they tend to build decks that like show up a lot in the top as like popular. And so I don't know why, but like, I mean, like they have good decks, like, but like, I don't know why them in specific are like one of the names that shows up a lot. So, but okay. So this is Amber Steel aggro. Has a, so you are playing Aurora. What are our other princesses? Okay, you're playing Tiana. Interesting. So you're not, there's literally no other princesses or queens besides Tiana. Huh. This does feel a little bit then too far the other way. But I mean, I guess if you can get this Tiana down on turn 2, like obviously great. But so you have this Daisy. So this version is playing the Rhinos, 1/16 Wolf. Rhino is a card that I think is going to be extremely powerful in this format as long as there's a shell for it. As long as Amber Steel is good, I think Rhino, but because of the shift, will be really good. Penny heals one of your characters, gives them resist for a turn. Great. Doc refills your hand. So like this is pretty standard, other than of course the Aurora, but this is pretty standard for like the Amber Steel aggro from last format. Mr. Arrow, a 2-drop quests for 2. Nala, 2-drop quests for 2. Lady, 3-drop quests for 2. Like kind of going to like the other deck that I was talking about, like I don't know if this is aggro. Like for this, like Doc isn't really a 2-drop. Like you don't want to play this on turn 2, but like of the cards that you want to be playing, like with like off Lady, almost all of them quest for 2. Like you have 3 that don't. And one of them is still a shift target. And so it feels very strong for the current thing. I'm curious about this Nala basically being a Piglet replacement. Piglet quested for 3 if you controlled 3 or more characters. And so this, like Nala quests for 3 as long as she has no damage and has resist 1. And so you should theoretically be getting like 5 lore off Nala, which like isn't 6 for Piglet, but like the number of times that like Piglets just get sniped in the previous format, I'm curious if Nala will do that, because like Nala survives Fire the Cannons because of that resist. If they don't have a lot of characters, she also survives not Let the Storm Rage On. I'm sure they have it. Strength of the Raging Fire. There we go. So Tiana, great. John Silver, when you play this character, chosen character can't challenge during their turn. Playing that and not playing Pete is interesting to me. Like, I feel like you would want Pete there, but I could be wrong. Lawrence, great. Rhino, Power Hamster. So this is the reason the other Rhino is so good. Like, Power Hamster is when this character has no damage, he gains resist 2. And then he also, quests for 2. So, like, takes out opposing daisies, takes no damage in return, is like difficult to break that the epic ball of awesome. And so And then what's Sven? When you play this character, you can ready chosen character they can't quest. So playing Sven protects one of your characters. Pluto is a bodyguard. And then invited to the ball, reveal the top 2 cards, put revealed characters into your hand, put the rest in the bottom. That's pretty cool. Like just a way of like buying out. You only have it's a one of. Don't like that then. Like I don't like that. But you have 7 misses. So like that should be pretty good chances of hitting like your odds of it hitting like whiffing twice is pretty low. But I feel like I would much rather just not play invited to the ball in that case. Then like this is another one that like I don't know. I could see maybe wanting to play like this Mulan as a 3-drop that quests for 2 in that list. Like I could even see theoretically Vanellope in that list just as another like other cards to use this Aurora for, because I think you want more with this than just playing more Auroras or playing Tiana. So like my gut says here, like I would cut these John Silvers for Pete's, and then I would cut probably these Plutos for the Mulans. And that gives you more 2-drops that quest for 2 in early, and I would just never like use the support. I'm just questing like crazy. So cool list. I like this list a lot. I think this is much more powerful than this other one here of like, I think this deck has other challenges. But I think that this one, like in terms of being a like aggro competitive list, is like would be extremely strong. And I would not be surprised if this is like one of the known quantities going into this format. Okay. Ruby Steel challenge. Let's go. Ruby Steel has struggled previously in the game. There just hasn't been a lot of great reasons to play it. This is kind of like we talked about this before, but like challenging as a mechanic, like having cards that pay you off for challenging can just be very difficult to balance, because a lot of times your opponent is getting ahead because they are questing and you're not offsetting that. So like Happy is evasive, Mulan draws and discards, Calhoun again only 2. Like I think Calhoun is a 4 of, especially in a challenger's deck. Like a challenge deck, like I think Calhoun is very strong. Also currently we've seen nothing that indicates combo, unless they're like, again, I use magic word for combo, which is like 2 cards that like could theoretically end the game if played together. Maybe they're just saying combo because the cards work together. And so we have Lilo. We do have Mr. Arrow as an alien. So like we do have like some options there. They are playing the other Stitch. Okay. So character challenges. Another character gains 3 of yours gains 3 strength. What is this? Raya. During your turn, whenever a card is put in your inkwell, you may ready another character of yours that can't quest. Yeah, I think that's fine. Mushu. Whenever one of your characters challenges, they gain resist 2. And then during your turn, whenever one of your characters banishes another character in a challenge, gain 2 lore. Feels good. Namori is great. When you play this card and at the start of your turn, draw a card and discard a card. And then Maximus. At the start of your turn, if you have a character play with 5 or more strength, gain 2 lore. 10 or more, gain 5 lore. Okay, so there is a little bit of combo there. Like, Namori is not impossible to get up to 10 strength, and so having this as a combo to as a way of like powering up from Maximus is definitely super good. You don't have any other end of your turn. Okay, end of your turn is different. So you do have some ways to get up to 5 power, right? Like you have the challenger off of this that makes it so that Stitch is 5. And that's only while challenging, though. So actually that doesn't work. Yeah, so you only have Nomori as a way of getting to 5 or greater, right? This when you play this character with shift, she gets 3. So, okay, so that works if you shift it. During your turn, whenever this character deals damage to another character, challenge the same amount to up to 2 other characters. Very strong. I know somebody at my shop is talking about playing Mulan, Elite Archer. Oh, and then they have, okay, so they do have this Mulan. 7 is a lot, and a Ruby Steel list, but like when this character challenges another character, your other characters gain, this character can ready challenge characters. That's pretty good. Light the Fuse, deal 1 damage to each exerted character, to chosen character for each exerted character you have in play. Okay. Desperate Plan refills your hand. I'm Still Here gives you resist. King Undisputed gets rid of one of their characters. Oh, and they're playing Seven Doors Mine as a way of dealing extra damage. This is an interesting list. I'd be curious if this is enough. Again, like Ruby Steel has just kind of struggled of like it's too slow to beat the like bigger decks, and then it's not if it doesn't get a perfect draw, it's not fast enough to keep up with the other lists. But there's going to be less removal. It's going to be much harder to get rid of your opponents, like for your opponents to get rid of your stuff. So playing like a Mr. Arrow is a lot safer now, or playing Shere Khan is a lot safer now. Like you don't have to immediately get value as, like obviously that's what you want to do, but it's not as imperative. Okay, what is this? Sapphire Amber Princess Jump Scare. So this is pretty standard for what we had. They're playing this Moana, which is the 3 that quests for 2. Is there a shift Moana? There isn't. I would take this out and I would play the Mulan instead. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills on this Mulan. I say that. This card is actually getting reprinted, right? Yes, actually getting reprinted. But yeah, I feel like I'm talking crazy pills with that Mulan of like, I'm not seeing it in any other, or like a lot of other lists. And I think that like, not to say like strictly better, because it's like a 3-2 versus, I think I just closed it. I did close it. Bringing it back. So it's like a 3-2 or 2-3 with support versus a 3-4, but like it is inkable, and like I think playing this Moana over playing Mulan is kind of crazy to me. I could see playing both. Quest for 2's very powerful. Hans, Vanellope, Kita. Again, I feel like people are overestimating this beast. Like, I just feel like this beast is just not where you're gonna, like, I feel like this is gonna start in a lot of princess decks and then is gonna be very quickly replaced with other cards. And I feel like this is just not gonna last. Aurora, Mulan, Maid Marian. Okay, Restoring the Heart. Move up to 3 damage from a chosen character or location. Cool. Yeah, cool stuff. Again, the nuance of this list, I think, is going to be pretty challenging to get figured out. And trying to figure out what's the best 60 for this archetype going to look like. And again, should you just be playing daisies? And then, yeah. So cool stuff. Some very fun decks. For people watching later on YouTube, I am going to try to put links to my decks from this into the notes, and we'll see if I'm able to get that done, or how quickly I'm able to get that done. I also want to try to timestamp, so we'll see what that looks like and how much I'm able to knock that out. But I want to try to put those in, so just we can have those as like the starting point for this stream. And then we'll kind of go from there. Again, I'm very excited for this first rotation for Lorcana. I'm excited for us to try new decks. I'm also excited because the deck that was really good against Blurple is losing the cards that were really good against us. So I'm excited for that. And I'm excited to see kind of just how these cards all shape out now that we get into the new format. So, but all of that said, I do want to say thank you to anyone who is watching, hanging out, all of those. Tomorrow night over on First Geek 411, we do have our continuation of Banned Book Summer, where we'll be talking Looking for Alaska by John Green. And then that will hopefully be a fantastic book club per usual. And so I hope everybody can come hang out for that, and hope everyone has a fantastic rest of the day. I will catch everyone later. Bye.